Hi, this is Ron with Sandcar Services, and I'm just going to give you a little tutorial and give you some heads up information if you don't know this yet or not. If you're going to be putting in a Terminator X ECM and plug and play system from Holley, they're great systems, but there's a couple of things that they don't tell you. Instructions don't tell you, so I'm going to give you some heads up. So like I said, it is a good system. I'm very happy with it. I have it in my car. This is a customer Sandrail, and it's in here to get a complete rewire done, and part of that is taking out this entire MEFI 4 system of junk. The MEFI was okay, but the way it was wired was just absolutely butchered. So customer chose to go with the Terminator X system. So here's the things that you need to know. The Terminator X and the wiring harness is manufactured specifically for automobiles and like race car type stuff. Automobiles run the intake manifolds forward. The throttle body units will be here next to the alternator above the water pump. Because most Sandrails, not all of them, but most Sandrails will flip the intake manifold, because you can put the manifold forward or backwards on an LS engine. You end up inherently with a couple of problems. One of them is, if you notice, Holley gives you these nice wire protected, pretty sleeves, but if you notice, it ends here and its bare wire is all the way to here, and the same here. And then this one's close, but that's only because there's a short little section right here. You can see where it splits. This actually came off of a different section, and I just stuck it there for right now. And the reason why I've had to do that is because the intake manifold is on backwards. So all of these connectors for the idle air control motor, the throttle position sensor, the coolant temperature sensor, which is this wire here that drops down behind the alternator, all of them had to be stretched and extended. Fortunately, I didn't have to cut the wiring on any of these like I did on my system. My system, I had to cut the ground wire on the TPS because they entangled it and I couldn't get it to move far enough. Right now, I'm waiting for some more of this wiring loom to come in so I can finish off where it's opened up, but you can see how now I have plenty of wire to reach my goals as far as where it's going to go. And so that's something you need to keep in mind. You are going to have to modify your wiring harness on a Sandrail. It's probably not going to plug directly in, and if it did, the wires are going to be tighter than hell. There's a couple other things that the Terminator X stresses you out on. They don't tell you very easily. They do say it, but it's not easy to find. The oil pressure sensor for the Terminator X is not a single wire like it is on most Sandrails. I'll walk you around over here. This is the oil pressure sensor on this car. This is pretty much what most people have. All it is a single wire. Same thing for the temperature unit, which is for the water temperature, which is right here. This goes single wire. They're basically for gauges. So this is a computer setup, and the computer needs to be able to read its own. So there is a coolant temperature sensor, factory coolant temperature sensor right here. That sensor right there. It would be considered the left front of the engine, even though it's the right side of the car. This is the passenger side of the vehicle, so hopefully that doesn't get too confusing. But they do not give you, Holley does not give you a relay system for the cooling fans and for the fuel pump. You have to make that yourself. They do give you the fuse for it, but and they do have it set up where you can run the fuel pump through their system, but the fuel pumps that we run in these cars are high amperage, and they don't recommend using their system for the high amperage pumps. So the cooling fans and the fuel pump are going to require you to have either an aftermarket relay system, or you're going to have to make your own. I'm going to be using the MSD solid state relay system. It should be here tomorrow for the customer. So I'll do an update when I get it mounted and show you what I'm using. But there are a few things that the Terminator system definitely stresses out for the person that's going to do the install. I would strongly recommend that these wires, there's 2 black wires on this system. They say connect to cylinder head only. Connect them to the cylinder head. Don't connect them to the fuel injection or the intake manifold bolts. Put them on the cylinder heads. There's a reason for it. You cannot have any excess resistance on those ground wires. That's what fires your fuel injectors. It's the ground for your injectors. So make sure you get that right. It's actually the ground for the system in general, but you want to make, and there's one on each side, so you got to make sure you get both cylinder heads connected properly. Right now this harness, like I said, is just laid on here. It's being mocked up right now. The computer I put on top of the manifold just so you'd see what it looks like, but I'm going to put her back in her little box so she can be safe right now. But that's what you got to work with. There's a few things that need to be extended. The Terminator X does not come with a intake air temperature sensor, and luckily I think I can get one to fit in a 1/2-inch pipe, but the intake air temperature sensor is right there. It's very critical that you use that on these self-learning systems. You want everything plugged in that you can. I'm not going to be plugging in the knock sensor circuit. That'll be bypassed because this car is going to go to a tuner. But just want to give you guys a little heads up. And gals, anybody that's interested in putting a Terminator X in there, the harness has a lot of excess wires and stuff for inputs and outputs. But as far as, it is not a complete plug-and-play system. There's stuff that this Terminator X does not come with. So hopefully that'll help you guys out a little bit. And this is Ron with Sandrail Services. I'm going to get back to work, and hopefully my parts will get here for the wiring harness and I can get this thing buckled up, and then I'll do another video on what it looks like when it's all installed. Talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.